Hi guys. My name is Aashna, and I'd love to make this interactive later on. But of course, first we're going to be covering what we're here to cover, which is technology for social good. So, when I chanced upon the themes of the summit, and when I was speaking to Parth, and Parth's a dear friend of mine, so I asked him, "What topic do you think I should cover?" And he was like, "Do anything, whatever you're passionate about." And then I thought that it's very easy to speak on things you're passionate about or things you've done and give advice on so many things which you may have done in the past. But it's so hard to talk about something you yourself are struggling with and not good at. And I think that's technology. I think being an 18-year-old myself, technology is something which I'm addicted to and which I use so often. And I'm literally sitting in front of a screen right now. So, today we're basically going to be chancing upon what our generation seems to be making of technology. So, I come from a generation where lifelines are online, where going out to play is too redundant, where locker rooms are common and they're all online. Most of us in the age bracket of 13 to 25 come from this virtual generation where most of our day goes into staring at screens and clicking on keyboards. And as cliche as this sounds, it's a time where everything is just a click away. Being 18 years of age, I think I'm walking on thin ice, critiquing something I use so much myself: technology, apps, socials, the great global living methodology that we also call the internet. It's easy to say use technology wisely. It's also very parent of us to say that. It's easy to justify anything and everything by saying that there's always two sides to a coin. What's good always has something bad to it. But if we look into the intricacies of tech and Gen Z, there's not a lot we can even try to justify. How can we justify atrocities we commit online? How can we justify rape threats? How can we justify cyberbullying, unsecular comments, online showdowns, all of that? I once heard someone say it's very easy to blame something on an entire generation, to claim the wrongs of an entire mass of people and call it generational trouble or generational trauma. It's also very easy to play good cop and point out mistakes in your own generation, calling yourself a saint and calling others devils. What's the tough part is pointing out mistakes and course correcting. And that is where a generation should and could come together to correct itself and to undo the wrongs and enhance the rights. So let's take this step by step. The issue in point is technology. Firstly, how is this an issue? Technology is increasingly helpful. It's taking over many redundant tasks and leaving humans with only emotional and efficient things to do. And let's be honest, we swear by ChatGPT. What would we even do without ChatGPT? What would ChatGPT do without us? We are the only using population of ChatGPT. But wait, this doesn't tell you how technology is an issue. Technology is an issue because of digital addiction. I've seen videos of kids moving their hands continuously in motion because of typing, even when they don't have a phone in hand. Technology is an issue due to misinformation and fake news. Online things spread so fast, perceptions are formed on the basis of an AI generated photo. Technology is a concern due to its impact on mental health. Mental health is increasingly being talked of, and with the rapid increase in our usage of phones, it should be talked of. But the point here is, how do we stop this? How do we start something good with the help of tech? The answer to that is a one liner. The one liner is, we move towards impact. And that is the theme of today. It's impact. That is what G20 stands for. Tech is more than your outfit of the day selfie. Tech is more than the dinner you ate last night. Tech can be used for much more than being addicted to for all the wrong uses. Tech can be used to do good, to be good, to impart impact. An example of this I always love to state is that of Navya Naveli Nanda. It's inspired me so much because it's something I see on Instagram so often. So Navya Naveli Nanda is Amitabh Bachchan's granddaughter, and I'm sure she's been born with everything best. But increasingly, I see her post pictures of her healthcare project in which she promotes on social media, she promotes health and well-being of the underprivileged and of women. An example of this is also channels like She the People, channels which provide us with more than headlines. They provide us with an insight to impact. And what is better than to have a look at social cause amidst the food reels, the Bollywood reels, the Rakhi Sawant reels we're scrolling through? This is not a speech to ardently advertise a particular person or a channel or change or a way of living. This is a speech to talk about what our generation scrolls through and how we, as children of this scrolling generation, change that. The change starts with yourself first. It's very cliched, I know, but start by posting what you feel. This sounds so trivial as I say it. So many of you must think we already post what we feel. What are you talking about? What I'm trying to say is that in this rat race of who is funnier or who is cooler or what looks nice and cool, we often forget to post what we actually want to. What we often are is too afraid. We are too afraid to voice what we may actually feel. Social media and Gen Z tech gives us the perfect platform to voice exactly what we feel without a fear. Which brings me to the next part of my thought. Is voicing enough or is it just pseudo intellectual? In all honesty, I think that's a huge debate and a big gamble. But I feel that voicing yourself is important and relevant, but it is not enough. What are you doing about the change you want? What are you doing about the story or tweet or hashtag you are putting up? It's very easy to critique systems that have been built upon years, sitting behind the safety of your screen. But to open up, talk about it, work on changing it in any small way is the biggest form of change. It is the biggest, most crucial step to a tech revolution. The most crucial step in two words is start it. The second part of my speech is a rhetoric. How do we start change? How do we make impact? The answer is by watching intently and learning. You're watching this right now, so I suggest you learn from it. There are so many people around you in this meet, in your followers list, on your mail ID, in your WhatsApp chats, on your Twitter, who once you know what they're doing will only inspire you. This is how you learn of impact by watching people around you make impact. It inspires you to be them, to be more than them, to do more than them. So, how do you do more? How do you be more? I'll state this in simple points and very relatable for students like us. You work with change makers, you work with G20s, you work with people like Parth, you work with people like the organizers of this summit. You work with people you see who make change, they are change makers. You attend seminars, you visit online websites like NGO websites, you Google CSRs of companies. Making change is not sitting in a small hut in the most remote part of India. Making change is working for huge firms like Tata and working in their CSR portals, knowing why they contribute to the sections of society they contribute to. Working on change is interning with change making organizations. Working on change is writing articles on public policy, working with government think tanks. That is change. And that is the most grassroots level of it, the most effective level of it. Number two, interact with your target audience through technology. Interact with people you want to change. Interact with people who you want to change things for. If tomorrow I want to change things for the LGBTQIA community, I would want to virtually meet them from all parts of the world. I would want to know their problems in order to work on them and voice them. Number three, write on the change you want to see. Now, I know this comes from a very privileged pedestal, which I am on as a writer myself. But I feel that if you have the talent to write, it's unbeatable. Because if you can express yourself via words, which people will end up reading, which will be circulated, which will have an impact on even one mind, that itself is change. Number four, hear the opposition out. Now, this is something we really don't do. When we have someone who opposes us, when we have someone who doesn't believe in the same school of thought we believe in, we tend to shut our ears to it. And that is the mistake we make. When we have someone who opposes every point we have to make, it is most crucial to listen to every point they are making because that will course correct us. Opposition is the biggest correction. Your critique is actually your biggest helper. Number five, work in developing organizations. If you get to work in very niche organizations, you get to learn a lot more. We have a huge craze of working in huge MNCs, in working with big firms and big men and well-paying jobs. What we don't realize is when we work in smaller firms, when we work in more niche environments, we learn a lot more. Talking from a very corporate perspective, because after all, I am a BCom honors kid. I think when you work with smaller organizations, it gives you a very holistic form of developing because you end up doing a lot of the work you aren't meant to do. And you actually don't know what you want to do until you actually do it, until you try out 100 different things. Now, all of this is very easier said than it is done. I gave out that disclaimer at the beginning of this session. But it's also, I have to acknowledge that it's also very easy for me to ironically sit in front of a screen and talk of how we shouldn't be sitting in front of a screen or we should be using the screen for greater good. It's very easy for me to sit in front of a screen and read out my thoughts. But again, I would like to think that in the end, change begins this way. And what better way to make change in technology than by using technology to do so? So I think with that, I would just like to throw some shade upon how we actually can look at the flip side of technology and use it for the greatest good possible in our ambits. How we as 18, 19, 20, 25 year olds can make change via our Instagram, via our Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp even. How we can be part of something that's going to, in the future, predictably be a great revolution. That's pretty much all I have to say for today.